And before we ever get to a miracle, before we ever get to a raising of this son, Luke wants us to see one person. He wants us to see one person in this crowd because it's the one person Jesus saw. Did you catch that when we read it? He slows us down to see the mother. Jesus doesn't just lock eyes with death. He locks eyes with suffering, with this woman who probably felt almost invisible at this moment. You ever been in a crowd of people and yet felt invisible? Like everyone's carrying on like they should, everyone's carrying into this moment, everybody, like the moment's going how the moment should go, but inside it's not okay. That's what this woman was going through. And that matters because the miracle didn't begin with power. It began with the presence of Jesus, noticing what nobody else was noticing. He saw her, which I think is a sign that it points us somewhere in the kingdom of God. It's a signpost to a value of the kingdom of God. And it's this, that even when you feel invisible, you're not. Because Jesus sees. Even when nobody else really notices, you, Jesus, notices the unnoticed. And he sees her. And that's the beginning of the miracle right there. That's the beginning of the miracle for her. And honestly, it could be the beginning of a miracle for you, is just realizing and recognizing and knowing that the God of the universe, Jesus, the one who would eventually die and save, sees you, whatever you're going through. But that's not just true of you. He sees what He sees the other people around that we've stopped seeing. You know those people that we've stopped seeing because we see them, but we don't see them, right? When we drive past them, we see them, but we don't see them. And we try not to see, we try not to look, we don't know what to do. I know what Jesus does. He sees, because he notices everyone, especially those who no one else is seeing. Jesus sees the lepers that everyone else avoided. He saw the lame man who was pushed out to the margins, and he invited him to walk again. He saw the demon-possessed man who was out in caves because he had been driven out of society. No one wanted to be around him, so they put him in a cave. They said, you go out there, and they would chain him up. And Jesus lands on the shore and says, I see you, buddy. Let's do something about this. A tax collector that everyone despised. Well, he deserves it because he's the one who chose to be a tax collector. It doesn't matter. Jesus saw him and invited him to change his life. The woman caught in adultery that everyone was ready to pick up stones and throw, Jesus saw her. The Samaritan woman at the well, who no one would even speak to, not even her own people. Jesus sees her. Do we see this in the Gospels, how over and over and over we see Jesus' heart go out in compassion towards people, different stories, different wounds, but they all shared one thing in common. They all felt invisible, overlooked, avoided, and dismissed, and Jesus saw every single one of them. Jesus doesn't just raise the dead, he restores shattered lives. And just like we said last week when it comes to miracles, right? They are glimpses of the kingdom of God breaking in to undo the effects of sin and brokenness. And if we just boil miracles down to spectacle, like if we just boiled miracles down to heal, to dead men raising and what Jesus does in the physical, then we miss some of what we miss the miracles that Jesus is doing all around us. And it's not wrong, and I'm not saying we shouldn't celebrate this boy being raised. That's incredible, right? That's mind-blowing. I'm not saying we shouldn't celebrate when people are healed. That's incredible. We should celebrate that as a miracle. We should declare God's goodness when he reaches in and he touches and he heals even today. But what I'm saying is if we boil it down to that's the only thing a miracle is, we miss so much of what God is doing in and around and through us. And then we begin to wonder, does God really do miracles today? Friends, he does them every day. Every day he does miracles.